Welcome back to Mythology. Last time we were in West Africa. We stood at the edge of the primordial waters and watched a hen scratch the first land into existence. We met the Orishas, the divine beings who did not stay in the sky but came down and walked among us. We followed a tradition across the Atlantic Ocean, hidden inside the bodies and prayers of enslaved people, and found it still burning today on every continent. Today we go north. Far north. Into the cold and the ice and the dark. Into a world where winter lasts for years and the sun sometimes does not rise. Into a mythology built by people who understood, in their bones and in their blood, that the world was beautiful and brutal in exactly equal measure. We are going to the Norse world. To Scandinavia. To the Vikings and before the Vikings. To the people who sat around fires in the long darkness of the Arctic winter and told stories about gods who were not invincible, about a universe that was going to end, and about how to live fully and courageously in the knowledge of that ending. This is the mythology of Odin and Thor, yes. You may have seen them in modern films and comic books and television series. But what you see there is the surface shimmer on a very deep, very dark, very philosophically rich body of tradition. Today we go below the surface. And we begin where the Norse tradition itself begins. Not with a god. Not with a hero. With a tree. Yggdrasil. The world tree. The ash tree at the center of everything. The cosmic axis around which all the realms of existence are organized. Yggdrasil is not a metaphor in the Norse tradition. It is a living entity. An actual tree, so immense that its canopy covers the sky and its roots reach into 3 separate cosmic realms simultaneously. Let me describe it properly, because the scale of Yggdrasil is part of its meaning. Its 3 roots extend into 3 different worlds. The first root reaches into Asgard, the realm of the gods, where it drinks from the well of Urd, the well of fate, tended by the 3 Norns, the beings who weave the destinies of gods and humans alike. Their names are Urd, which means what has happened, Verdandi, which means what is happening, and Skuld, which means what shall be, past, present, future. They sit at the well of Urd and they spin and weave and cut the threads of every life that has ever existed or will ever exist. No one escapes the Norns. Not the gods. Not Odin himself. The second root reaches into Jotunheim, the realm of the giants, where it drinks from Mimir's well. Mimir's well contains the water of cosmic wisdom, the knowledge of everything that has happened and everything that will happen. This well is so precious that Odin himself paid a terrible price to drink from it, a price we will return to shortly. The third root reaches down into Niflheim, the realm of ice and mist and death, the primordial cold, where the great serpent Nidhogg gnaws at the root endlessly. Nidhogg has been gnawing at the root of Yggdrasil since the beginning of time. He will gnaw until the end of time. And this is important. The universe in Norse mythology is not static. It is not an eternal paradise. It is under constant attack. It is decaying from below. The serpent is always working. On the branches of Yggdrasil lives an eagle so vast and wise that the winds across the world are caused by the beating of its wings. Between the eagle at the top and the serpent at the roots, there is constant enmity. And running between them, carrying messages and insults back and forth, is the squirrel Ratatoskr, whose name means drill tooth. Ratatoskr is the great gossip of the cosmos, stirring trouble between the eagle and the serpent, keeping the tension alive. On the branches of the tree, 4 stags roam and eat the leaves, symbolizing the 4 seasons endlessly consuming the growth of the world, which grows back endlessly in return. In the branches live countless serpents. The dew that falls from Yggdrasil becomes the source of the rivers that water the world below. And in the highest branches, between the eagle and the squirrel and the stags and the serpents, Yggdrasil lives. Tended by the Norns who pour sacred water and white clay from the well of Urd onto its bark to keep it from rotting. The tree is always under threat. The serpent gnaws. The stags eat the leaves. And still it stands. And still the Norns tend it. And still it holds the 9 worlds in its branches and roots. This is the Norse universe. Not a paradise. Not a creation that runs like a perfect machine. A living, growing, decaying, tended, threatened, magnificent thing. Exactly like the world we actually live in. Now we must meet the gods who live in it. The Norse gods are called the Aesir. And one of the most extraordinary things about them, One of the things that makes Norse mythology unlike almost any other mythological tradition in the world is this: the Norse gods know they are going to die. This is not a vague premonition. This is a specific known fact. The event is called Ragnarok, the doom of the gods, the twilight of the gods. And every major deity in Asgard knows its outlines. They know who will survive and who will not. They know the enemies they will face, and in most cases they know the enemies by whom they will be killed. They know the sun will be swallowed, and the stars will fall, and the world will sink into the sea and then rise again, clean and new, but without most of the gods who made it. And they live fully anyway. They feast in Valhalla. They gather heroes. They scheme and adventure and love and grieve and make terrible decisions and brilliant ones. They know the end is coming, and they refuse to let that knowledge diminish a single day. This is the existential heart of Norse mythology. Not the denial of mortality, but the defiance of its power to diminish life. Now let us meet Odin. Odin is the Allfather, the chief of the gods. But he is not the god of strength or victory or the simple raw power that most chief deities in other traditions represent. Odin is the god of wisdom, poetry, war, death, and magic. He is a god of contradiction and paradox. He is ancient and restless. He wanders. He appears in disguise among humans. He is accompanied by two ravens named Hugin and Munin, Thought and Memory, who fly across all the 9 worlds every day and return to his shoulders every evening to whisper everything they have seen. He also has 2 wolves, Jerry and Freki, ravenous and insatiable, who eat the food from Odin's table because Odin himself does not eat. He survives on wine alone, the Norse texts tell us. He is sustained not by ordinary nourishment but by something more rarefied. By knowledge. By quest. By the relentless hunger to understand everything. And Odin paid extraordinary prices for his knowledge. The story of Mimir's well is among the most important in all Norse mythology. Odin wanted the wisdom contained in the well at the second root of Yggdrasil. Mimir, the being who guards the well, told him the price. 1 eye. Odin plucked out his own eye and dropped it into the well. He drank the water of cosmic wisdom. And with 1 eye gone, he sees more than any being with 2 eyes ever could. The missing eye looks up from the bottom of the well, forever seeing what lies beneath, what is hidden, what is real beneath appearances. This is a mythological statement about the nature of wisdom that has never been surpassed. True understanding costs you something. The ability to see deeply means sacrificing the comfort of ordinary sight. Every scholar, every artist, every person who has ever gone fully into the depths of a question they could not leave alone, who has sacrificed comfort or ease or ordinary life in pursuit of understanding, is living this myth. But that sacrifice was not the greatest one Odin made. The runes. The system of writing and divination and magic that lies at the heart of the Norse tradition. Odin did not simply receive the runes as a gift from a higher power. He earned them through an act so extreme it has fascinated scholars and mystics for centuries. He hanged himself on Yggdrasil. He hung there for 9 days and 9 nights. He forbade the other gods from giving him food or drink. He was wounded by his own spear. He hung in the wind, looking down into the darkness below, in a space between life and death, between knowing and not knowing. And on the 9th day, looking down, he saw the runes. He reached down and seized them. And the knowledge of the runes, of the letters that carry magical power, of the written word as a force that can shape reality, poured into him. He sacrificed himself to himself. He is both the god who hung on the tree and the god who received the gift from the hanging. He is the wound and the healer of the wound. He is the seeker and the knowledge. The Norse texts describe his hanging with a phrase of staggering resonance: I gave myself to myself. In no other mythological tradition does a supreme deity sacrifice themselves voluntarily to themselves in order to gain wisdom. This is a mythological idea so philosophically dense that scholars and poets and mystics have been unpacking it for over 1,000 years. Now let us meet Thor. Thor is Odin's son. He is the god of thunder, of storms, of the protection of humanity, of the strength that stands between the ordered world and the chaos outside it. He is enormous. He has a red beard. He drives a chariot pulled by 2 magical goats. He wears a belt that doubles his already superhuman strength. And he wields Mjolnir, the hammer, forged by the dwarves in a story filled with trickery, the weapon that can level mountains and return to his hand after being thrown. Thor is not subtle. He is not Odin. He does not sacrifice his eye or hang from trees to gain wisdom. He smashes things that need smashing. He is direct, loyal, occasionally not very clever, and absolutely relentless in the protection of the worlds under his care. And yet Thor's stories are full of humor and vulnerability. There is a famous myth in which Mjolnir is stolen by the giant Thrym, who refuses to return it unless the gods bring him the goddess Freya as his bride. Freya refuses with such fury that the hall shakes. The gods are in a crisis. The hammer is the primary weapon standing between the ordered world and the giants who want to destroy it. Without Mjolnir, Ragnarok may come early. Loki, the trickster, suggests a solution. They dress Thor as a bride. Thor wears a wedding dress and a veil, with gems draped over him to imitate the necklace Freya would wear. Loki dresses as the handmaiden, and they go to Thrym's hall. The scenes at the banquet are among the funniest in all ancient literature. Thor eats an entire ox, 8 salmon, and all the delicacies meant for the women, and drinks 3 barrels of mead. Loki has to explain to the suspicious giant that Freya was so excited about the wedding she could not eat or sleep for 8 days. When Thrym leans in to kiss his bride and sees the burning eyes beneath the veil, Loki explains that Freya was so eager to come to Jotunheim that her eyes have been blazing with excitement. And when Thrym calls for Mjolnir to be brought out to consecrate the marriage, Thor seizes it and the giant hall ceases to be standing very shortly afterward. This story is beloved precisely because it shows the greatest warrior of the Norse tradition in a dress, solving a crisis not with brute force but with deception and patience and the willingness to look ridiculous in service of something important. The hammer works. But the plan is Loki's. Which brings us to Loki. Loki is the most complex, most psychologically modern, most endlessly fascinating figure in Norse mythology. He is not one of the Aesir by birth. He is a giant by origin, who somehow became a blood brother to Odin and was counted among the gods of Asgard. He is the trickster, the shapeshifter, the one who causes problems and then solves them, usually because he caused them in the first place. He is neither good nor evil. The Norse tradition does not allow that simplification. He is necessary. He is chaos inside a system that would calcify without him. Many of the greatest treasures of Asgard exist because Loki caused a crisis and then had to fix it creatively. Thor's hammer Mjolnir was forged because Loki cut off the golden hair of Thor's wife Sif as a prank, panicked at Thor's fury, went to the dwarves, and eventually got them to create not only new golden hair for Sif but also the spear Gungnir which never misses its mark, the ship Skidbladnir which can be folded to fit in a pocket, the ring Draupnir which creates 8 equally heavy gold rings every 9th night, the boar Gullinbursti whose golden bristles light up the night, and Mjolnir itself. Most of the Norse gods' greatest possessions exist because of Loki's mischief. But Loki's story has a turn so dark and so permanent that it reshapes everything. The death of Balder. Balder was the most beloved of all the gods. Beautiful, gentle, beloved by every living thing. His mother Frigg, Odin's wife, so feared for his safety that she traveled through all the 9 worlds and extracted a promise from every single thing in existence never to harm him. Every plant, every stone, every animal, every weapon, every metal, everything promised not to hurt Balder. Everything except one thing. Mistletoe. Frigg passed over it because it seemed so small, so harmless, so young. It had not yet grown enough, she thought, to be dangerous. And the gods, delighting in Balder's invulnerability, made a game of throwing things at him and watching them bounce harmlessly off. It became a celebration of his safety, of his belovedness, of the fact that the universe had agreed to protect him. Loki was watching. He went to Frigg in disguise, charmed her into revealing the one thing she had not asked for a promise from, fashioned a dart from mistletoe, and guided the hand of Balder's blind brother Hoder, who wanted to participate in the game but could not see. The mistletoe struck Balder. And Balder died. Every living thing wept for Balder. The grass turned from green to brown. The color left the world. And the gods sent a messenger to Hel, the realm of the dead, to try to bargain for his return. Hel agreed, on one condition: every single thing in the 9 worlds must weep for Balder. Every living thing. Every stone. Every river. Every creature. If everything wept, she would release him. Every single thing in the 9 worlds wept. Every plant. Every animal. every river, every stone, except one thing. In a cave, a giantess named Thor refused. She said that Balder had never done anything for her, and his death meant nothing to her. She would not weep. Therefore Hel kept Balder. The giantess was Loki in disguise. For this, for the death of Balder and the refusal to allow his return, the gods captured Loki. They bound him with the entrails of his own son. They placed a serpent above him so that its venom dripped onto his face. And there he has remained, bound beneath the earth, until Ragnarok. The earthquakes that shake the world, the ancient Norse believed, were Loki twisting in his bonds. And Ragnarok is coming. The signs of its approach are called Fimbulwinter. 3 winters without a summer in between. The world descending into cold and darkness and hunger. The bonds that hold civilization together fraying. Brother against brother. Father against son. The old compacts breaking. The wolf Fenrir, Loki's monstrous son, swallowing the bonds that restrain him. The Midgard serpent Jormungandr, Loki's other child, who encircles the world ocean and bites his own tail, releasing it and coming up from the sea. And then the final battle. Odin will fight the wolf Fenrir and be swallowed whole. His son Vidar will avenge him immediately. Thor will fight Jormungandr and kill the great serpent but fall himself, poisoned by its venom, dying after 9 steps. Tyr will fight the great hound Garm and they will kill each other. Freyr will fight Surtur, the lord of fire, and die because he gave away his magical sword as a bride price. Loki and the god Heimdall will kill each other. The sun will be swallowed. The stars will fall. The world will sink beneath the sea. And then it will rise again. Green and fresh and new. Alive with crops unsown, with fish in the sea, with waterfalls, with the eagle flying above clear waters. Some of the younger gods will survive. Balder will return from the realm of the dead, because death itself will have ended. And 2 humans, preserved in the wood of Yggdrasil, which somehow survives Ragnarok, will emerge and repopulate the new world. This ending is unlike anything in any other major mythological tradition. The world does not simply go on forever. The gods do not simply maintain the cosmic order indefinitely. Everything ends. And the gods know this. And they feast anyway. And they fight anyway. And they love and grieve and quest and sacrifice anyway, in full knowledge that the wolf is waiting, that Ragnarok is approaching through the winters. This is the deepest gift of Norse mythology to the human imagination. Not the idea that courage means not being afraid, but the idea that courage means knowing the ending and showing up fully anyway. There is a word in the Norse heroic tradition, wyrd. It means fate or destiny, but it does not carry the passive resignation that the English word fate sometimes suggests. Wyrd is the active meeting of your fate. You do not simply accept what is coming. You meet it. You walk toward it. You face it with everything you have. Odin knows the wolf is coming. He hangs on the tree anyway. He sacrifices his eye anyway. He sends thought and memory to gather wisdom every day anyway. Not because he believes he can prevent Ragnarok, but because what else is there to do? To stop living fully because death is coming would be to give death a victory before it even arrives. The modern world has given this philosophy a name. Some call it existentialism. Some call it stoicism. Some call it radical acceptance. The Norse simply called it how to live. Let us zoom out now, as we always do. The world tree Yggdrasil has exact structural parallels in mythological traditions across the globe. The axis mundi, the central pillar around which the cosmos is organized, appears in virtually every culture on Earth. The Siberian shamanic tradition, which scholars believe Norse mythology shares ancient roots with, has the world tree at the center of the cosmos as a fundamental feature. The Hindu tradition has Mount Meru, the cosmic mountain at the center of all existence. The Mesopotamian tradition has the sacred ziggurat as the connection point between heaven and earth. Indigenous traditions from the Americas to Australia to Southeast Asia almost universally include some version of the world axis, the point where sky and earth and underworld connect. The Norns weaving the destinies of gods and humans echo almost perfectly in the Greek moirai, the 3 fates who spin and weave and cut the thread of life. They echo in the Hindu concept of karma as a cosmic accounting that no action can escape. They echo in the Yoruba concept of Ori as a pre-chosen destiny. Across every tradition, Humanity has intuited that the forces shaping individual life are larger than individual will, that there is a pattern, and that no one, not even the gods, stands outside it. And the death of Balder, the most beloved, killed by the most trivial and overlooked thing, the mistletoe that was too small and young to seem dangerous, contains a psychological truth so precise it feels like prophecy. The thing that destroys what we most love is almost never what we feared and guarded against. It is the small thing, the overlooked thing, the thing so harmless seeming that we did not think to protect against it. This is Norse mythology. Not a story about invincible gods in a permanent paradise. A story about mortal gods in a dying world, who chose to live like the universe depended on them, because they believed it did. And the universe did. And it does. This has been episode 5 of Serra Mythology. We climbed Yggdrasil from root to crown. We sat beside the well of Urd with the Norns. We hung with Odin in the dark between life and death and seized the runes when they appeared. We stood with Thor in a wedding dress and laughed. We wept with the world at the death of Balder. And we looked at Ragnarok, not with despair, but with the clear eyes of people who have understood something essential. The end is coming. For all of us. It always was. The question the Norse were asking, and the question they answered more beautifully than almost any civilization in history, is simple. What will you do between now and then? Next time, we travel east. To Japan. To a myth of creation so strange and so beautiful that scholars still argue about what it means. To the goddess who hid the sun inside a cave and plunged the world into darkness, and to the wild, impossible thing the other gods did to draw her back out. Odin paid with his eye. We paid only with our time. See you at the next fire.